Welcome back to the channel and to what could be a fun teardown, because this bedside clock was hit by lightning. It was hit by an EMP pulse that travelled through wires and blew the thing up, and you can see that dark area there. Now what also makes this interesting is that this is USB powered, and so there's not even a transformer that I would have expected to have blown up. So I think the first thing to do is to take this cover off. In fact, no, what I'll do, I'll plug it in to a USB power bank, if I get it the right way around. Now isn't that interesting? It actually shows as though power's being drawn, but there's nothing going on. Obviously it isn't coming on. So let's take it apart and see what has gone on here, see what we can work out. Well, I've just started recording again because this saved a couple of minutes. I picked it up, I was just going to have a look how to open it. It actually came away. It was just with little clips on the side. Very easy indeed. But there you can see that burn mark. And so inside now, I think there's half a dozen screws or so. So I'll just take those out and come back. We can flip this over and hopefully see what's gone on down in this corner. Just one little note, and that's rather obvious, is how many LEDs are actually on this thing. It's quite amazing. I know it does have colour effects, it does gradients and whatnot, but that is one heck of a lot of LEDs. Okay, well it is now flipped over, and I thought I'd better go handheld because there's no way I was going to be able to lift this thing up and down. Or even zooming in might not work well, but here's a spot for the CR2032 battery. What we've noticed is whenever we've had power cuts, this one will remember its time. When the power comes back, it'll also have the correct time on it. So that's what was doing that, was this button cell, which is interesting to know. There's USB charging thing on here, which that is a regular CR2032, so I'm not even sure what the charging's all about, unless it's a pass-through. That's the power input from USB. The Fresnel lens type of thing. That's very interesting, with the two sides on it. But what we need to know, what's the main thing, is the burn. So if we turn that over, be in this bottom corner, and there is a bit of brown there. But on the back, I'm not seeing anything unless that chip went something like this. I'm unsure at the moment exactly what's happened and what's blown. Now here is the area. You can see on that LED the brown around it. The insides of these LEDs do look a little bit weird. That one seems to be burnt, doesn't it? Compared to the other two left and right of it. Now I can't imagine that simply one LED burnt out would stop the whole thing working. I might try and bridge across or something and see if that brings it alive. If not, you're just going to see the next part. And here is that next part, because it didn't work, and I thought to myself, well, instead of jangling things around, I best disconnect that screen as well. So I have disconnected that. Right, onwards. First of all, we do have ground and 5-volt little pads there, so I'll go and get the multimeter and check for voltage. And that's interesting because with the two probes on there, there's nothing showing on the meter. Just give me a second to turn on the power bank. There we go. And nothing showing. Which I think is more of a short, because I'm sure this is supposed to stay on longer. There it comes on. And it was going off about now. And that screen's staying on. So it's more of a short condition, which is interesting. Yep, that's staying on for a long time without anything plugged in. So I'll just show you the comparison. There we are, it went off. So for comparison, if I plug it in, well, first of all, we're not getting anything now, but I press that, there we go, remember the amount of time it was on before. quite a few seconds. Yep, off instead. So I think that's a short. Right. So what I've done is I put the multimeter onto diode setting, went around all these LEDs, and it looks like these two here have blown. So I can at least take those out. Now we don't know anything about the chips on the back. You know, there could be anything really, so I'll not go too much further with it if this doesn't make any change. But I will take those two off and see if that removes the short. So that's those two LEDs now removed. Place your bets on whether you think anything will happen. I don't think so, but we can give it a try. I've plugged it in at the back, and now to plug it into the power bank. I guess the main thing is to see whether the 100% stays on or just goes off again quickly. There we go. Well, nothing's come up on there at all, and off it goes again. So it's still shorted out. There's still something wrong. I do think that with the various chips on there we've got no idea, and the fact that it was an EMP, I think that's for the scrap. But it was worth a look inside, and it's worth seeing what one of these looks like on the inside. Right, well, bit of a failure, but thanks for watching, and see you next time.